So hi guys, thank you everyone for joining. Thank you Hiten for your time. And like we have conveyed earlier also to all the attendees, this is not going to be a typical slide-wise webinar, and this is going to be more conversation type. So the platform is also open to every one of you who wants to ask a question in between, right? Or who has a question in between. And in the meantime, we will start. Hiten, could you please start? With your introduction a bit.
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. Good evening. My name is Hiten Dani. I come with more than 22 years of experience and more than 15 years into consulting, working across KPMG, Deloitte, and other companies. Currently, from a privacy background, I hold close to 10 years of experience, and I'm also a CIPP certified professional. I have completed my AIGP training, and very soon I'm planning to apply for my AIGP exam as well. And as far as my work experience into privacy is concerned, currently I am working with a couple of consulting firms, assisting their clients in complying with the various privacy regulations that we have across the globe, and also the India's DPDP regulation as well. And apart from that, I also am a IIPP certified trainer or to conduct CIPP trainings officially. And I also conduct the DPO level trainings which is more of a hands-on training on how to work on each of these areas on privacy, be it data flow diagrams or how to build a privacy governance framework from scratch, or how to build a ROPA, which is records of processing activities, doing a DPIA, and all other parameters, which is more of a practical in nature in terms of I share all the templates that we can use, which are again regulatory approved templates, more so from a GDPR perspective, which can be kind of modified to India specific and other regulations as well. So that's where I do the practical training on DPO level certification as well as the India specific certifications as well. So that's a quick background about me. Come in.
Thank you, Hiten. Thank you. It's a very good experience, right?
Yeah.
And okay, Hiten. So let's start the conversation today. So firstly, like it says, we are conducting this webinar on a DPO job role, more about data privacy and all, right? So like we have heard about this job role from past with the acts like GDPR and all, right? In US like HIPAA, NIST, and others, right? But like if we have seen like in last few years in India also, we have seen like the data privacy come into actions. The government is asking every company to get compliant, right? People are also getting day by day more vigilant, more aware about their data, how they are. Like recently there have been some activities when ChatGPT came out. I don't know if you remember, there was a Ghibli kind of where you can
That's
convert
right.
your photo into Ghibli, and a lot of people provided their photos, and after that there was an incident related to data privacy wherein like a girl's mole on a hand was still showing on her image. However, the image which she provided was a covered one, right? But
Right.
still it showed this, right? So again, I was saying data privacy is getting like everywhere in notice, whether it's like with the government, whether it's with the companies, whether it's with the individuals, right?
Right.
And with the DPDP Act coming in, so how do you see the Indian market, especially the Indian companies, then adopting this DPDP Act? However, it came in phases. Like the first rules came after 6 months, then after 12 months, then 18 months. Still, if we look back, it's been like almost 2.5 years. How has been your experience? How has been your research? I know you follow a lot of things around DPO, especially to the Indian
Right.
market. So how has been your study? How has been company, in implementing this DPDP Act?
Sure. Kavin, just to let you and the other participants know, I am part of various global communities as well as communities in India, and I'm also part of the IIPP chapter in Mumbai as well as the India chapter as well. So, what I have seen is, people or organizations were not taking the requirements of privacy very seriously until 13th of November 2025. That's when the final rules were laid out and published by the government.
Yeah.
So thereafter, they have also published a 18-month timeline as well. So with the 18 months timeline now, organizations have started taking it more seriously, and they are now rushing to hire a team of privacy professionals, including DPO. So if you see post 13th of November, and that too from January onwards this year, there have been a sudden rise or increase in the requirements of privacy professionals at across all the levels.
We have
So
noticed that.
while I am part of the global and Indian various WhatsApp groups across privacy as well, so I own, and also on LinkedIn, where I'm very active as far as my profile
Yes.
is concerned. So there has been a sudden increase in job openings across all the levels. So I myself keep getting job opportunities for DPO levels, and also to conduct corporate trainings, which I do for various companies to make their professionals understand the nitty-gritties of privacy, and how to build a career into it, and also how to make the companies compliant. So there is a sudden more focus, you can say, come this start of this year. So that's why there are a lot of openings for which professionals can make use of if they have the right set of experience in the overall career on
Okay.
privacy.
Yes, we have also noticed this, like we are a company into trainings, cybersecurity trainings, also into managed
Right.
security services, right? So we have also noticed this, like there has been a lot of increase in terms of skilled employees. Like the companies had reached out to us in the past,
Mhm.
asking for employees who have like experience in data privacy, who have worked in some capacity, whether it's related to GDPR or CCPA or any other. So there has been a lot of, and students also now, like working professionals, I have been noticing in the past 2-3 months that they are very much interested into some kind of training that is related to data privacy, especially
Right.
after DPDP Act, right? So we have discussed this also. So that's why we also came up with one of our courses that is related to
Right.
DP. We will talk more about our course, but on the
Yeah.
later, right? So yes, so validating your point, we have seen a lot of demand, lot of increasing demand
Right.
in this domain. Okay, okay. Here is my second question. So let's say if someone is interested, right? So I let me put this question in two parts, right? Firstly, let me put it about the prerequisite. So let's say if there is a person who has no background into cybersecurity, right? He has some background into, let's say, into legals, right? And some backgrounds into general studies, right? And he is interested to go for a job role of data privacy professional, right? So as of now, there are two consumptions in the market. Firstly, the data privacy role is only limited to like law professionals, right? And the second one is it is only limited to professionals who are from GRC background into cybersecurity. Not even it is open to everyone, like people who have 10 to 12 years of experience. So
Right.
my question is, if you could please clarify more about on the prerequisite part on a person who doesn't have any experience or is a fresher, right? Or with a person who has a working experience into cybersecurity, but not precisely into the domains of data security, data privacy, like those.
Right, right. Yeah, it's a very good question, Kavin. So what I would suggest is, or based on my experience, what I've seen is uh, professionals who want to start their career in the area of data privacy, they need to kind of focus on building their skill set around it, and not that if you are just a fresher that without any experience or without any skill sets on privacy, you will directly get into a job role of privacy. So for a professional to build a career into privacy, they need to kind of uh, undergo certain certifications which are available in the market, or trainings as well. So from a certification perspective, if you see most of the job openings, they start with a job preferred or a mandatory requirement of professionals having a CIPP training, which is the
Yes.
Certified Information Privacy Professional, and that too for specific to Europe, which is the most comprehensive regulation currently available in the world and across the world. So if you are a CIPP certified, not only from a theoretical perspective, but when you do the certification, you have to do it in a very detailed manner. In terms of when I did my certification last year, prior to that I was working on a lot of privacy areas, but then when I decided to kind of build my career and focus only on privacy, that's when I decided that CIPP is something that at my level, I was suggested that I should do a CIPM, which is the manager level certification of privacy. But I decided that before even I Means if I want to grow and become an expert in the area of privacy, then my base technically has to be very strong. So for me to have my base very strong, I have to start from the scratch and understand the detailed level, certification requirements, as well as what is the current requirement of compliance in from a privacy perspective. So that's when I got myself trained extensively. I underwent almost a 6 months training for me to become an expert into this, and then as soon as I completed my training, within a week I cleared my CIPP exam as well. So with that, I with the extensive training, because I did not want to keep myself restricted to the certification specific theoretical knowledge. So I decided to go for a hands-on training. That's what we provide as part of the DPO training that we are talking about,
Yes.
which is much more than the certification training, which focuses more on the theoretical aspects of the regulation and what you should be aware of. One thing is certification makes you aware of the requirements, and when you actually start implementing it, which I do right now, so I not only train professionals, but I also do the things hands-on, and I work as a subject matter expert, assisting a lot of these Indian as well as global companies come to comply and prepare a privacy governance framework. And I, as part of the corporate training, I train their professionals as well to be able to manage the privacy requirements and the regulatory requirements. So, so the point is that you need to do a certification for you to have something in your hand, which is currently a mandatory requirement to have. But along with that, if you want to grow yourself into or build a career in privacy, then you should be well versed with the practical concepts as well in terms of how to build a ROPA. Certification talks about having a ROPA and when should you have a ROPA. But if you want to actually build a ROPA, that's what we do as part of this training, which I provide. And the other thing is building a ROPA is not a simple or a very easy to do activity. So if you kind of get yourself well versed with the requirements, then you will be much more confident. And currently, I have seen professionals who come with certifications, but then when they are actually asked to work on, when I work for companies and go and test the understanding of professionals, they are very good from a knowledge perspective. But when you actually ask them how to implement it, that's where they are found lacking, or they don't very sound very confident. So there are two aspects to it.
So, yes, I mean, totally your last point. So this has been the case on other technologies as well, whether it's like into Simples. People, I mean, try to learn a lot through theory only basis, but not doing practical. So until the time they are learning theory, they know everything on a theoretical part. They know everything how to explain. But when it's about implementing, when it's about doing, then it gets harder for them. So absolutely, yes, practical helps, right? And that is how we have designed our training as well. So okay, again, if I mean the way I understood your point regarding the job is like you need to have a basic certification also if you are moving from any outer domain or from an internal domain of cybersecurity also, because like firstly it validates your knowledge, it gives you a theoretical knowledge and practical knowledge, right? And then it also gives you an opening compared to people who doesn't hold that specialization or who doesn't hold that certification, right? So the certification is I mean, you can start with certifications like CIPP. Any other certification you would recommend apart from CIPP with which they can start? CIPM becomes after some time, right?
Right.
Management level, but any other certification?
So it depends if a professional is required to work on the US specific regulations or Asia specific regulations, then there are CIPP certifications which are available specific to geographies. So if a professional is required to work in the US environment, then there is a CIPP US certification. Same way, if you want to work in the Asia Pacific region, then it is CIPP A specific certification. And for Europe, it is CIPPE. And recently, I was part of the IIPP events which happened last month, where the entire leadership of International Association of Privacy Professionals who manage these certifications, they had visited India, including the CEO. So when I attended, I came to know, and we also post that they should be now with India coming in with their own regulation. which is DPDP. So we requested them as part of a core group that, you should also focus on coming up with the CIPP specific requirement that with India having so much of focus. And what he told as part of the presentation that there are close to 80,000 odd professionals who have got themselves certified from India itself. And India is ranking around third or fourth in the overall number of professionals from a country specific number who have got themselves certified on IIPP certifications, at least one of the IIPP certifications. So that's when we discussed and we requested them to so couple of things. One is when we are talking about CIPP-A, which is the Asia specific certification, recently they have already got the DPDPA specific regulatory requirements added as a syllabus in the certification course requirement. So that's what we have been pushing for that. And secondly, we have also asked them to now come up with an India specific certification requirement. So it will be very soon. They have said that we will start thinking into it on those lines. So very soon, just like your CIPP US, CIPP E, and CIPP A, we will also have CIPP I, which is India specific certification also that will come up. So that's what. And as far as building the career is concerned in privacy, my recommendation is your base. If you are as a professional want to build your career in privacy, then you should start with the basic certification, which is the CIPP, which is everyone should be aware of the operational requirements or the regulatory requirements, which gets covered in a very detailed level. And then gradually you can build towards CIPM. And if you want to build, if you are a technical professional and want to build your career into privacy and from a technical perspective, then there is CIPT as well, which is into the technology side of things. And then professionals who want to build a career into AI, they also have the AI governance professional certification as well. Equivalent to that, you from an ISACA perspective, they also have AAIA specific certification, which is again the AI from an ISACA perspective.
Yes.
But yeah, this is how gradually you should climb the ladder. And for professionals who want to build up and work as a DPO in the future, if they aim to become a DPO, then you have to gradually grow up. And when we talk about doing the DPO training that I provide, that is something which is which will make a professional equivalent, even if they come as a fresher or with 1 or 2 years of experience. When they attend this training and they grasp the knowledge, they are kind of considered working equivalent to a 6 or 7 years experienced professional. So my mentor keeps on saying to me, that experience is not the only criteria for a professional to show their skills. If the professional comes with the right set of skills, he can work at a 6-7 years equivalent professionals level as well. If they are confident and they bring in the right skill set as well. So that's what I brought it in my mind, and I started training professionals to bring them up to the speed, even if they are relatively lesser experienced in the career.
Right. So, like you said, I mean, you spoke about the IIPP guys, about the IIPP, about the Indian thing, right? So, I think this would be a very good step, because we have, I mean, in last my conversation in last 1 month, which we with our other batch students, so most of them wants to do a certification which is not specific to US or Asia or anything. They want to do a certification which is specific to India. And if I look at on internet, a lot of companies are providing DPDP Act certification.
Yeah.
I don't think there is anybody which has validated any certifications related to DPDP Act as of now, or anything in particular related to DPDP Act. But there is a lot of demand in the market with the students, and a lot of companies are also cashing in on that by providing a simple certification named as DPDP certification. So I do agree. Like if IPP comes up with a certification that is specific to India and specific to DPDP Act, that is going to get them a huge demand, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so moving ahead to our next question. So look, DPO DPO is a job role. I think that consists of too many. A DPO should have to knowledge not specifically related to data privacy only. I think so. This is my thinking, right? And he should be aware about other controls and other acts as well. For example, if I'm working on a company which is a US based company, I should have the knowledge of the US version, right, of
Right.
CIPP. But other than the US version of CIPP, do I need to have the knowledge of HIPAA also? Do I need to have the knowledge of CPA also? Do I need to have the knowledge of the standards issued by NIST? So does a DPO needs to have all the this knowledges related to all the compliances and acts, or is there a specific, is it related to specific GDPR and country wise?
See, that's a very good question, Kavin. And to help you understand, currently I'm working on one of the client engagements, which is a pharma company in India, but they have a lot of these global regulatory requirements that they are supposed to meet because they have presence across multiple countries. So, what I have been doing recently is I have started looking into or researching into the regulations, privacy regulations for South Africa, Brazil, Thailand, Saudi Arabia, and the GDPR as well as DPA. These are the 6 or 7 countries where I'm doing research and building the controls checklist, which are required to make the client get themselves assessed and then make them comply against the requirements. So what I have seen is from a South Africa, Brazil, Thailand, Saudi Arabia, these are all quite close to GDPR requirements. So my recommendation to professionals is that if you want to again start working on privacy regulations, or if you are already working on some of these privacy requirements within your companies, you should first of all focus on getting yourselves upskilled and very confident as far as your GDPR regulations are concerned. What I have also learned is if you have a company which is working across multiple regulations, then the logic says that you should make your company comply against the strictest regulatory requirement, and then rest of the company's country specific regulations becomes relatively easy. So in this case, the company which I'm working for, we are focusing on making themselves compliant against GDPR, which is the most comprehensive regulation since they came up somewhere in 2018. And it's been 8 years that they have made a lot of changes to the regulations, and it's much more matured regulation. So once you make the company comply against the strictest and the most comprehensive regulation of GDPR, then I have seen that South Africa, Brazil, Thailand, Saudi Arabia, these are all, you can see 90% or 95% or 97% of GDPR. And then you just have to focus on the 2, 3, 5% of additional requirements that you have to make the company comply. Same way, India-specific requirements also, if you see, there are 2 lawful bases that we have in India, which is consent and legitimate interest. If you see GDPR, they have 5 or 6 legal bases basically, and consent and legitimate interest is also part of the GDPR requirements as well. So if you are very confident on your technical skills and the knowledge about GDPR, then you can easily manage to work on any other country's privacy regulations. That is what I have seen from my personal experience.
Okay.
So right now, I don't see that difficulty as far as managing DPDPA privacy compliance related requirements, because I know that I am at a particular level as far as my GDPR knowledge is concerned. So that's what I would recommend the professionals to do as well, whoever is attending the session today.
Okay, understood. Like if we go like there's a saying, in a group fight, go for like beat out the guy who seems or who looks to be the toughest one, and the rest will
becomes easy to defeat.
Right. Okay.
And just to add one more question that you had asked from a DPO perspective. So, there is a lot of myth going around in India, and I have seen other companies outside India as well, that a CISO or a CIO can become a DPO as well and can take up joint responsibilities. But to be frank with you, and as far as the regulations of India is concerned, DPDP, or as far as GDPR is concerned, it very clearly states a DPO has to be independent as far as their roles and responsibilities are concerned. They have to work in an advisory role. They cannot suggest recommendations and then they only do the implementation of those recommendations as well. Their job is very advisory in nature. So they have to be, first of all, expert in the regulatory knowledge which is required for a professional to work in the area of privacy. Second, they have to work independently. They cannot take multiple roles. So a professional who is working as a DPO will also be required to report directly to the top management, which is the board of directors or the CEO of the company. They cannot internally report to a CIO or a CISO or a chief risk officer or a CFO. That is also not allowed as far as the requirements are concerned, which are very clearly laid out. So DPO itself is a very niche requirement, and you have to be very strong as far as your skill sets are concerned, because you are required to directly work and face the Data Protection Board of India or the other supervisory authorities as far as the outside countries board or the regulators are concerned. So you have to have a good experience as well as good knowledge, confidence. You need to have things in place as far as the working papers and evidences are concerned. You have to work in an independent capacity and not taking up any additional role within the company if you are working as a data protection officer. So that's a very important requirement. And then that's where, if you see, I have recently seen companies where there is an internal transfer of professionals from one department to the other, and they are being asked to work as a DPO. And what they do is they kind of take some kind of certification, and then they are being made at a DPO level thing.
But they're just putting it as compliance.
Absolutely, just a tick in the box activity, but actually that does not work when you look into from are you doing justice to the role that you are going to work in. And that thing will not come into the picture right now, but once come down the line, 18 months down the line, when the rules are enforced and then companies are checked for compliance, that's when you will see people who are not well versed with the understanding and the concepts, they will be found wanting. God forbid, companies have to be mindful when they actually hire a DPO and test their knowledge and skills before they are hired practically.
So maybe in next 6 months to an year, we will see more hiring for this position, more skill, demand for more skilled people, and all these things, right? Yeah. Because after, I think the time period given by government is also going to get over between 12 months to 16 months, most probably by next year.
So one of the requirements to be compliant for companies against DPDP or GDPR is that you need to have a data protection officer as well. If you are a significant data fiduciary from a DPDPA perspective, then you have to have a data protection officer mandatorily appointed. As far as GDPR is concerned, you have to have a DPO in place. There is no DF and SDF requirements. It is clear that there is a data protection officer required to be appointed. There are 2 or 3 or 4 criteria. If you meet those criteria, then you have to have a DPO appointed.
Okay. So just to let our audience know, like we are open to take questions in between as well. So if anyone of you has any questions, want to ask related to anything, you can raise your hand in between, or you can ask a question, right?
And you can type it in the chat box as well, and we can read it out for other participants.
Yes, you can also type it on the chat box, right? But we are open to questions also in between, just to let you guys all know. Okay. So yes, Hiten. So coming to like our course, like we spoke about the responsibilities and all, right? So could you explain? Could you give a brief detail about our course? Like I know, I mean, we have designed this course with a lot of like things in mind, especially the practical part, right? And all of these things. So could you please share a bit elaboration about the course?
Yeah. So what we do as part of this data protection officer specific course and the certification that is given to you or as participants is that this is a live training of 24 hours that we do, and we focus on covering the GDPR, which is the most important regulation and comprehensive one, and also we focus on the India's DPDPA regulations as well. We help you develop practical skills as far as working on and building up a data protection impact assessment, building up a records of processing activity or a ROPA, how to handle data subject access requests. I have practically developed a lot of the flowcharts for data subject access requests, which I kind of walk participants through for them to understand what are the things that you should have it in mind when you get a data subject access request or any other data subject request, basically, and then how to build up a framework on privacy and what are the factors of areas we need to focus on. Apart from that, we also share ready-to-use templates. We focus on real-world case studies and implementation activities. And we also, the training which we do also will assist professionals if they are not CIPP or a CIPM certified professional. These trainings will also help you, because I focus on this training, or not only I cover the theoretical aspects of each of these areas, but then first we cover the theoretical aspects and then we focus on how they are done practically using the templates which you can directly use in your companies if you are working in the area of privacy or if you are going to work in the area in the future. You also get a training certificate as part of the practical competence, which you can use for claiming your CPEs if you are already holding any certifications related to privacy or even ISAGA certifications. You can use it in the near future as well. And yeah, so these are the things that we cover as part of the training. Now, as far as the detailed modules are concerned, we cover privacy governance framework, building activities. We cover on building up a new privacy policy for a company and drafting a privacy notice, where I also give sample templates and the guidelines and feedback, the guideline documents on if you want to kind of take guidance, then you can use those guidelines documents if you're trying to build up in the future as well. Then we focus on data discovery, data mapping, and building up of ROPA, data retention and data disposal activities, which is one of the important parameters of deleting the personal data when it is not required. Apart from that, we also focus on data protection impact assessments, vendor management, and data processing agreement specific templates, how to work on these templates. I also share the standard templates with you all, which are again regulatory approved ones. Very important factor from a GDPR is international data transfers. So I cover these areas in very detail, for not only from a concept understanding perspective, but how to actually work on reviewing or building up a agreement, data processing agreement, or a international data transfer specific agreement is concerned. Data subject rights is also what we cover, and also the personal data breach management. So these are some of the things that in fact, most of the things gets covered, which is required from a knowledge building and skills building activities are concerned.
So in short, like we are covering almost all the topics, right?
Absolutely.
We're covering almost all the topic.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. And this training is going to be more practical training related to like the theoretical training.
Yeah.
Okay. So coming back to the question, so I have this one curious question. Like I have thought that I've given it a lot of thought myself also. So when a cyber attack happens in a company, right? So basically there are 2-3 main motives. Data is one of those main, like most of the time one of the main motives, right?
Mm-hmm.
So look, there are different job functions in an organization. Like after an incident responder does something different and all. So what is the protocol for a DPO? What does he do if there is a breach in an organization? And some of the time, if there is a breach, the organization gets to know that this kind of data has been stolen. But some of the time, they don't even know what has been stolen, what has been lost, right? What is the protocol for DPO when an incident happens? Like, how does he approaches with his team? What is his job role? So I would like to really understand that.
Sure. So from a DPO's perspective, the role of DPO is such that they are required to work very closely with other functions within the firm. Like when there is an incident happened or happens, uh, not every incident is termed as a breach, right? So first you have
Right.
to qualify. So you have to work very closely with your CISO, the Chief Information Security Officer, and understand whether that person, whether the incident or the breach that has happened within the company, is there any kind of leakage or access, unauthorized access to personal data of individuals. It may be the company's own employees or their clients, individuals personal data, whether any kind of personal data exposure has happened. If there is any such exposure that has happened, then you have to immediately work as per the personal data breach guidelines of the regulatory requirements is concerned. So the requirements from a regulatory privacy regulations is concerned, typically GDPR as well as DPDP says that you have to issue a very detailed report within 72 hours. So this is what I explained as far as the response time is concerned. And then the breach can happen not only at your end within your company, but at your vendors end as well, who may also be working on processing personal data of your employees or your clients. So you have to then evaluate whether the breach has happened in our environment or it has happened in vendors environment. And if it has happened in vendors environment, then whether the companies or companies personal data, as far as our clients or individual employees data is has been lost or exposed. So then again, from a reporting timelines perspective, there are two reporting timelines. One is if you are working in India and that breach has happened, then as per the cyber security or the CERTIN, which is the government authority which is associated with security, the
Right.
certain requirement states that you have, if it is a critical incident that has happened, then you have to report within 6 hours. If it is non-critical, then you have to report within 12 hours.
Right.
But if it is again if it is a personal data breach, then you also have to report not only to certain from a security incident perspective, but you also have to report to the Data Protection Board of India and to the data principals, which are the individuals whose personal data may have got exposed. So all this reporting has to be done within 72 hours, wherein a detailed report has to be issued within 72 hours and an initial notification has to be sent without any undue delay. So this is how you have to work closely, and not only with the security team, but also other functions who may be processing personal data. You have to understand how much is the exposure, how many systems within the company has got exposed, and by any chance, has there been any exposure of personal data that has happened within the company. That's where the DPO has to come into the picture, and then they have to initiate their reporting process, and again closely report to the board of the company as well to keep them posted, and then also report it to the Data Protection Board of India or the other relevant authorities outside India.
Okay. Okay. So a question from your answer, right? So some of the time, like the breach happens within your company, so you know like what compliances you had put in, how I mean, what is your like now how you deal with it, right? But more as most of the companies work with third party integration, right? We saw it in the case of Microsoft also last year, which happened. CrowdStrike as a third party provider, and a lot of examples we can think about, right? So if it is about my company, a DPO can like check all the regulations. He can set all the rules. He can follow all the guidelines. Right? He can maintain the structure which we are asked to maintain. But how do we protect the same when it's with the third party? When a third party is also involved, or any other vendor of ours is involved. So how do we like save ourselves on those conditions, on those occasions?
Yeah, effectively, what happens is even when you work with the vendor and the vendor has kind of breaches happen at the vendor's end, or they have kind of in a way created certain issues, or they did not have their security in place because of which a breach has happened. Ultimately, the regulations talks about that in GDPR, the controller is overall held responsible and accountable. Same way in DPDP, it is the data fiduciary or the significant data fiduciary who is responsible or accountable as far as any implications coming out of the breach happening at the vendor's end as well. However, the aspects where we can, as a controller or as a data fiduciary or a significant data fiduciary, how we can provide some strict measures for the vendors to adhere is through the data processing agreement, where we put the terms and conditions that you are supposed to work on only the 1 or 2 or 5 processing activities. If you end up doing anything additional apart from the instructions provided by the controller or the data fiduciary, then for such processing activities, they directly will be treated as a controller or a data fiduciary. So in that case, if things are very clearly, that is where the requirement of having a good data processing agreement is very important. And I have seen challenges where there is not much importance given on having a good data processing agreement in place in companies where I'm currently working on, and which is where I assist them in having some good relevant clauses which can help them safeguard their interest. Ultimately, while they are going to be accountable, but there are ways and means in which you can pass on the liabilities and the penalties that may come up on the controller, because they are ultimately accountable. They can, through the data processing agreement, they can pass on those liabilities on to the processor. If you have relevant good clauses, indemnity, liability, liquidated damages related clauses, and you put the onus on the processor as well, so that they can understand the implications as well. If they non-comply, then what are the things that they are going to face as well.
Thank you. Thank you for clarifying this. So
Sure.
I have a question from one of our attendees, right? I'm
Sure.
going to project it.
Hi, Gokulnath. I'm currently working in Deloitte as consultant, data engineer. I'm much more interested in politics, sociology. How can I pivot to privacy field, and how the long-term career would look like? Building up a career into privacy, we just covered certain aspects of it, that if you want to build a career, you have to first of all look it from a long-term perspective. Don't look it from a short-term perspective. Secondly, you have to start building the right skill set for you to start working in the area of privacy. Not that with a data engineer profile that you're working on, that you will directly be absorbed into the privacy function within Deloitte. By the way, I've worked for more than 12 years in Deloitte until 2023. So I understand what kind of requirements they come up with, and they would want some kind of experience or skill sets. So even if you want to build a career in the privacy and you don't have any experience, if you attend the right set of trainings, the one that we spoke about, the DPO level training, where we cover the basics, we cover the theoretical side, and we also cover the practical aspects. So that will make you a kind of at least be able to appear for interviews and clear it very confidently. And it will also give you a lot of confidence if you want to start working in the area of privacy. And all the areas where normally typically the interview questions are asked. So I also conduct a lot of these interviews as part of the consulting clients which I work with, and I also help them hire professionals. So I know what set of requirements are required, and that is what I also, as part of the training, I cover a bonus module in terms of what are the things that gets asked in questions or in interviews, and how you should mentally prepare for the interviews if you are working or planning to appear for any future interviews in the area of privacy. So yeah, means coming to the point, if you want to build a long-term career, focus on developing your skill sets, having a DPO training and building up your practical skills is very important, apart from having certifications and the theoretical knowledge. So have at least start working on developing, on building your self towards obtaining a CIPP certification, and focus on kind of the detailed aspects of the certification requirements, the theory requirements. That will help you become more confident. And then you can also do the DPO training that we're talking about. For me, as far as my career is concerned, I did it the reverse way. I first did a very extensive training from one of the well-known, world-renowned professional who is currently my mentor as well, from UK, and I did a very extensive 5-6 months of training with him. And then I did 4 days of CIPP training, which I also conduct for my mentees. And then I did my certification training and appearing for the certification later. First, I did the technical skill set building activities for these 5-6 months. So that's where I come with a lot of confidence, and I help a lot of these companies also, and professionals also, from a compliance perspective. I hope it answers your question, Gokul.
Thank you for the question, Gokul. I hope it answers your question as well. Any other questions? He says yes, thank you.
Great.
Anyone else want to ask a question?
One advice for all the professionals, yeah, I see a hand up. I'll just finish my one point. If you are building or planning to build a career, even if you come from a cybersecurity background, or if you don't have any relevant experience in the area of privacy, and if you want to build a career in the area of privacy, my advice is this is the most crucial and the right time to enter into this area. So one is like from a GDPR perspective, my mentor keeps telling me that the first and the best time to enter into the area of privacy from a GDPR perspective was on 25th of May 2018 when it was first rolled out. And the second best time is right now. There is no time as a bad time or not the right time. Whenever you want to think that you want to build a career, focus on it, and ensure that you don't do the theoretical part. You should be so much of confident that anybody asks you any kind of question, you should be the most confident professional that could be seen in the forums or wherever you go. Never run away from any kind of questions. That is what I do practically. I attend a lot of these events, IIPP events and other privacy events. And while I am not part of the panel or the speakers, but sitting in the audience, I try to share my knowledge, and I also kind of ask right set of questions and also give my perspective, because I feel that I am very confident as far as my skill sets are concerned. So this is what you should have with you if you want to build your career in the area of privacy. Don't just do it for the sake of, like, I have a CIPP certification, but then if you are asked how to build a ROPA or have you seen a ROPA template, and if you say no, I'll have to, and you are found wanting, it should not be the case. If you want to build, this is the right time, and you should be the most confident person in your company and also across, where people see that this guy comes with good knowledge and expertise is concerned. Yes, please. I see a hand raised.
Yes, Shubham wants to ask a question. Shubham, you can, your mic is unmute. You can unmute your mic and you can ask the question.
Okay. Hi, Kavindra. Thank you so much. And Hiten sir, I keep following you on LinkedIn.
Oh, great.
I really,
Hi, Shubham.
get inspired by your post, and I'm really feeling fortunate that today, coincidentally, virtually at least, I'm interacting with you. Sir, my
Fantastic.
question was regarding the DPDP Act.
Yeah.
There is a very different concept of consent manager, right? Such
Yeah.
concepts are not under the DPR. So,
Yeah.
along with the job opportunities DPDP has brought in the country, it has
Yeah.
also brought in business opportunities, right?
Absolutely.
Because concerned manager shall be a completely autonomous, independent body, which could be a private limited company or any other companies, right?
Yes. Yes.
So, would it be a right approach to have a good knowledge, experience in the data privacy, and incorporate a company as in concerned manager, or is there any prerequisite to do that?
That's a very good question, Shubham, first of all. And for just for the understanding of the participants, let me explain you. The consent manager in GDPR is there is no such concept of having a consent manager. It is directly the data subjects are required to work with the controllers, and the controllers needs to ensure that they obtain right set of consent and explicit consent for each of these processing activities, and they are supposed to manage the consent request and the withdrawal request entire list. And once a person has withdrawn their consent, they cannot do the processing of those activities. In India, there is one intermediary party. So you have your data principal, who is the individual like you and me, Then you have in between, you are required to have a consent manager. And then this side, the third side is your, so these are the three things. One is your data principal, which is the individual. In between comes a consent manager. And on the right hand side or towards your left side, whatever you see, this third party is the data fiduciary or the significant data fiduciary. Okay, now what happens is the data principal or the data fiduciary will have to reach out to the consent manager. Consent manager is going to be that independent entity who will maintain the list of all consent provided by this data principal to this data fiduciary. Okay, and if the data fiduciary asks or wants to obtain a particular consent for a particular processing activity from the data subject or principal, they will have to go through the consent manager, and consent manager will then reach out to the data principal. So this way, this role of having a consent manager, which is an independent entity, is very important and unique to DPDPA. Now, what it says is this consent manager entity, there are certain requirements laid out for this entity. They just cannot come out of blue right now and then say that I am a consent manager. There are certain requirements, like this consent manager entity has to have certain infrastructure, certain requirements, plus they have to then get themselves registered with the Data Protection Board of India. And once the DPB, which is the Data Protection Board of India, authorizes them, then only their name will be published as a consent manager on the DPDP or the India specific website, and they will be treated as an authorized consent manager. So for example, let me take a name, Geo Platforms. They are currently right now in the race of becoming a consent manager. So they have developed that skill set, and they're now planning to kind of get themselves registered with the Data Protection Board of India and get themselves registered as the consent manager entity is concerned. Now, coming to your point, Shubham, as far as skill sets are concerned, companies have unique requirements. So if it is a large multinational company having presence across multiple countries, they have a specific department who will just manage data subject requests. They will have a specific department who will work on consent management requests. They will have a specific department who will work on data breach requests, personal data breach requests. So it is up to us. If we build our capabilities across all these factors, then you can very confidently work on any of these individual parameters as well, or you can do work on an entire thing. Just like Gokulnath mentioned that he wants to work as part of Deloitte, he wants to work in the area of privacy. Now Deloitte works with multiple individual Indian as well as global clients. So depending on the requirement, if you have the right skill set, they can put you in a multinational company specific engagement. Or if you want to just focus on consent management, then they can put you on that specific requirement related to the consent management areas. I hope it answers your question, Shubham.
Yeah, definitely, Hiten sir. I am really, satisfied what you stated. Apart from that, Hiten sir, there are many of mine. By the way, I am data protection is currently working for Redgin Travel Technologies that is located in Noida.
Right.
And many of my juniors approached to me and they asked for the guidance, Shubham, how can I, grow my career in the data privacy? Because in the litigation field, sir, it's really challenging for the newcomers to have an substantial survival expenses as well. Because in the initial 2, 3, 5 years, if we go for a litigation, then it's really difficult. So that is the reason people switch to the corporate world. And from law background, we end up into the contract drafting things or regulatory compliances thing. Now the third opportunity has come into the data privacy, right? So what challenges they are facing? They are facing like, without the practical experience or documented experience as a data privacy consultant, any other domain, any other designation, there is no company hiring to them. And even some of them are having certifications as well, but still they are facing challenges during the interviews. When the interview throws the practical questions, they are, blank. They are unable to use their presence of mind or their theoretical knowledge. So
Right.
is it necessary? I mean, if the course which I believe Kavindra is proposing and you are also proposing, so if I suggest that certification and that training to them. So how, don't take it otherwise, sir, how far it is, possible that they could get into a data privacy job without having an, first experience in the data privacy?
Right. See, as far as this training is concerned, there are two aspects to it. Okay. So when I decided, as I told you earlier in the session, when I decided to grow into the area of privacy, I was also thinking, and to be frank with you, I had taken a medical leave. I had taken a break from my employment because I had some issues, medical issues, and I had to undergo a surgery. So I was not even employed sometime in 2023, and that's where I sat down and I decided that going forward, what am I supposed to do and what I want to do. And I identified the area of privacy. So when I identified the area of privacy, the first thing when I decided to join that extensive training that I was talking about, that course was not cheap at all. And I had to pay in pounds. And the fees that I paid that was considered as a self-investment, and the fees that I paid that time is in lakhs of rupees. But I thought about it, I inquired about the course, and then when I decided to completely deep dive in the area of privacy, then all the trainings that can do is they can help you with develop those capabilities. But ultimately, it is also up to the individual in terms of how much effort they are putting themselves, apart from relying only on the training. From my training perspective, I am pretty confident I can help you develop 75 to 80% of the knowledge required to practically work on privacy areas. But then that 20-25% is something that you as an individual also have to put and invest your time and effort into it. Because I have seen people attending the training, but then they are working professionals. They start working on their own routine job and routine work, and then they lose their focus and they don't focus on privacy. साइबर सिक्योरिटी में मेरा ये काम है, बहुत प्रेशर है, मेरे को ये करना पड़ेगा. एंड देन वी काइंड ऑफ कन्विंस अवर माइंड कि यार मेरे पास बहुत काम है तो मैं बाद में कर लूंगा, मेरे पास वीडियो रिकॉर्डिंग्स तो है तो मैं देख लूंगा. द मोर टाइम यू स्पेंड अवे from the area of privacy after you get yourself trained and you keep a longer gap, that's when you start forgetting things. So you have to stay connected, you have to do a lot of research. LinkedIn पे posts आते हैं, regulatory requirements. Even at my level, if you see, if I show you my bag, I have the entire DPDP regulations ka 3 parts in which they were published. I have a hard copy of that in my book. Wherever I go, I carry that hard copy with me. Right? So that is how, and it's not about carrying it. You have to go through it, and you should be very much well versed. Like people were asking me questions on DPDP. You asked me consent manager. Somebody else will ask something else. So you have to be confident, and when you will become confident only when you work on it. You keep reading material about privacy, and you become utmost serious about growing your career in the area of privacy. Otherwise, you may invest money, you will obtain a certification, but if you are not serious and if you don't work on those areas, then it is a waste of money, which I would suggest you should not do that in that case.
So that's what
so it is. If someone is passionate enough, passion is the primary thing, I believe, that could make the individuals to get a better place in the privacy
absolutely
field, right?
See,
and I completely
after 2023, when I decided to enter in the area of privacy, I just eat, sleep, drink, do whatever. I just do privacy. So, and when I start working on multiple areas, when I started training professionals on CIPP certifications, which is directly through the IIPP, I was associated as a certified IIPP professional or trainer. Then that thing plus training professionals, training corporates, giving data privacy awareness trainings, working on consulting engagements. The more you work on the area of privacy, the more challenges that you come across, the more confident you become, because initially you will feel that I don't know this thing, I don't know that thing. So you can always ask relevant professionals in your network in LinkedIn or other areas. And it's not that for me also that I will know 100% of everything that is going on in the area of privacy. But there may be certain areas which I don't know, which I may come across. Only thing I need to do is do some research on it. And next time when somebody else asks you questions around it, you are much more confident in answering it.
All right, sir. So thank you so much, Hiten, sir. I'm really, wishing that in coming future, I really want to meet you in person, because I
Absolutely.
keep on following on LinkedIn. All right,
Yeah,
Kevin, that's all. Thank you, sir. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Shivam.
no
Thank you for
problem.
your question. It was
Thank you,
very
Shubham.
helpful to others as well. Okay, we are over time, Hiten, but we have a last one question. It's a very basic question. We have answered it in some manner or other, but
Yeah.
so just let me put this question. It is from Rajendra, right? Just let me publish it. So,
DPO,
just Hiten, if I may add something before
sure.
along with this question, right?
Yeah.
So I know Rajendra personally as well. We have spoken on other, like we have spoken on cybersecurity and career guidance a lot, right? And this is the thing which I have found with a lot of professionals who have around 14, 15, 12, 13, more than 10 years of experience, somewhere 10 plus years of experience between 15, and professionals from India, professionals from US, Indian professionals, especially working in US, Canada, other European countries. So almost all of them are now in a situation or facing a situation where their career has gotten stagnant, right? And they are not able to move up. They cannot move down. They don't have the skill set to move lateral, right? And a lot of people are getting confused over this. And out of them, I mean, as we all know, like how much data privacy is in demand and how much it is in, like everyone is interested in it, right? Along with the other domains of GRC, right? So a lot of people, especially with this experience level, ask this question, and they want to get into data privacy, they want to get into data security, or however you have answered it through CIPP certification, a lot of skill set and all. You have already answered it, but if you could take this question once again, and if you could like suggest them, like you have already done that, if you could suggest them a strategy, a timeline which they need to invest, right? I think that could boost their confidence and that could give them a way.
Absolutely. So, what's the scope of this DPO? So, Rajinder, a DPO, I just spoke earlier as well. A DPO is a very unique requirement which is mandated by the regulators in India, also, as well as GDPR is concerned as well. That if you are a data fiduciary or a significant data fiduciary, if you are meeting certain criteria which are laid out in the regulations, then the organization needs to mandatorily have a data protection officer. Now it is industry agnostic, means it is not restricted to one or the other industry. Every industry who is meeting those criteria will need to have a data protection officer in place. In GDPR, there are 3 or 4 criteria. If you meet those criteria, you need to mandatorily have appoint a data protection officer. And if you don't meet the criteria, then you can have a data privacy manager kind of a role where they can work on multiple things jointly. But if you are a DPO of an organization, you cannot work on cybersecurity, or you cannot work on the implementation side of whatever recommendations you provide as a data protection officer. So your role as a DPO is very advisory in nature. You can recommend things that the company will have to do. Now, who will do those things that you are recommending? It is the CIOs, the CXOs who will be required to implement those things. Or it may be a decision taken by the leadership team that while this was a recommendation provided by a DPO of the company to kind of comply or to be better positioned as far as the regulations requirements are concerned, company, the leadership team may take a call that they will not work on the recommendations of the DPO, but then the DPO cannot be held responsible or held responsible if the company did not implement the recommendations that their own company appointed DPO had provided it to them. So DPO has to be expert as far as the regulatory knowledge and skill sets are concerned. A DPO can be from a legal background and having some technical skill sets and having the expert knowledge which is required for a DPO to have, or it can be from a technical background, like you if you are working in the area of cybersecurity and you are well versed with the expert and you are expert in the regulatory knowledge is concerned and the overall requirements is concerned, then you can be from any background, but you can be appointed as a DPO. But you have to have good amount of relevant experience and skill sets. I have seen that where professionals are having say 8 to 10 years of experience also, they can be appointed as a DPO, because right now there is a very shortage of the skill sets which is required from a DPO to have. So that professional skill sets which are required to be having with the professionals are not very easily available. So there is a huge requirement that I have that have come, and I currently have been working as a VDPO in a couple of client organizations, providing them a virtual DPO kind of a service, because the service can be outsourced as well. That is allowed as far as the regulatory requirements is concerned. So if your company does not have an expert privacy knowledge professional, then they can outsource this to a consulting firm or some other firm, and they can appoint a VDPO, virtual DPO, but that virtual DPO has to be made aware to the Data Protection Board of India or the GDPR, the supervisory authorities. So it is industry agnostic, means in any and all industries will be required to have a DPO if they meet the criteria laid out by the regulators in India or outside as well. I hope it answers your question.
Thank you. Hi, Rajendraji. I hope it answers the question. We are already over time, 10 minutes over time, but it was like a very lovely and very interactive session. Thank you for all your time, Hiten, and for your knowledge.
Absolutely.
And you would like to close on, like, you would like to say anything before the closing?
No, means if as I said earlier, if you want to get into the area of privacy, this is the right time. In India, there is a huge amount of privacy requirements that are floated already, and come towards the end of this year, you will see lot of opportunities that will come up. It's just that this is the right time for you to enter into it, and also invest some time in building your professional skill sets as far as the privacy regulations are concerned. And you will see that sky is the limit as far as the privacy requirements are concerned, because this is one thing to note is this is a regulatory requirement for organizations to have a DPO and a privacy team in place. It's not that it will die down after some time. It is going to increase over the time, and the more the mature the regulation of India will become, the more the requirement of having more good professional skill set based professionals are concerned. So there is not going to be a lean time as far as having privacy. All organizations, almost all mid to big size companies are going to have this requirement to have a DPO and a privacy team in place. So this is the right time for you to enter.
Thank you for the message, and
Sure.
thank you everyone. You can reach out to us, like I have shared my number over the chat. If you guys need any other detail, any mentorship related help, any career guidance related consulting calls, or if you're interested in our training for the DPO program for this upcoming months or after that, you can reach out to me on this number. You can also visit our website. And thank you again. Thank you, Hiten, for this lovely session.
Great. Thank you very much. It was nice talking to you, Gavin, and everybody. Thank you.
Likewise. Thank you everyone for participating.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.